So Shvas Tammuz is approaching, which is something to think about. There were 5 terrible things that happened on that day. I'm going to just speak about one of them, which is that this is the day that the Meraglim came back with their bad reports, according to some. Others maintain it was later. They certainly wept on Tisha B'Av. The question is what was going on between here and there. This event is very directly connected to 2 other events, Chet HaEgel and of course the subsequent breaking of the Luchot. So let's look at Chet HaEgel for a moment. It's the sort of sin that most of us think about as being something we would never do, which feels so good. There's so many sins that we would do. But the concept of Chet HaEgel is wanting an indirect connection. This is very intimately tied down to Chet HaMeraglim. How so? Intensity means that you're always on. It means that you're always alive. It means that there's no escape from yourself or from Hashem. We don't always like that. So when Moshe failed to come down according to the cheshbon that the Jews made, he was 6 hours late, which between Jews, 6 hours? It was because their immediate, we have to have something between us and God. We can't have a direct relationship. We have to have a symbol. There has to be something. That desperation was desperation born of the desire to escape from a direct relationship to Hashem. They chose a calf. A cow is a bull, is the strongest of the domesticated animals. The idea of choosing a calf, it's a symbol of power, but not wild power, not the power of a lion, the power that could be controlled and contained, the power of a people in a certain sense. So the sort of worship that they were doing was also, at least to some degree, worship of their own potential. So it's worship of self, and indeed all idol worship is to one degree or another worship of self, rather than worship of God, because that's too intense. So I want you to realize something. We are where our minds are. If our minds take us to realizing that God is compassionate, loving, caring, then we're not afraid of a direct relationship. It's only when we let our fantasies and our fears take over that we're like somebody who's riding a horse through a field and can't control the horse. We can't control where our minds take us. This was the terrible tragedy that led to Chet HaEgel. So what do? How do you remember that it's not so scary, not so terrible to have a direct relationship? It helps to remember your best and most noble moments, the moments where you felt beloved and were beloved, when you did something that you know in your heart gave you a direct connection, and the direct connection gave you simcha. If you could remember that, then you're not afraid of a direct connection. And indeed, the whole Meraglim story in the end was about people who were afraid of a direct connection. Being in Eretz Yisrael equals a direct connection. It says in the Torah that in their own eyes they were as grasshoppers. That's how the Meraglim felt, and these were great people. It's a terrible human tragedy. So let's end this week and this fast with the resolution that we shave away all of the impediments and throw it to the side that make us want something other than Hashem, make us yearn for an indirect connection. Fasting helps for this, because fasting takes us away from all of the delusions, all of the pleasures that sort of sidetrack us and let us escape. So having a direct connection means no escape, but no escape is simcha, betuv levav. We should just be worthy of it, which is of course what we want Mashiach comes.